The Hall of Fame coach, Coach Knight, joining us. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I was reminiscing about 1976 of just how balanced that team was. How were they?
Dude, I reminisce about that every day.
Really?
Sure. I like those kids. Those kids were the best that ever played.
What was it about them that made it all work? It's like a jigsaw puzzle that all fit together. Certainly that season.
Well, they were really smart. Those kids were smart, and they were aggressive. They really wanted to. They saw they had a chance to do something. I think that was kind of unusual, and it's obviously been unusual because nobody's done it since.
And you had leadership, though, but you had guys who were, that back then everybody was staying 4 years. If that was today, you wouldn't have been able to keep them probably for longer than 2 years, could you?
Well, who knows? That's all conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what that's going to be like. These kids were really good. They were really good athletes, and they were really unselfish kids. I can't imagine that you could have had a group of kids anywhere any better than those kids were.
How old were you that season?
Let's see. How long ago was that?
So 41 years ago or 31 years ago?
Yeah, it had been about 40. I'd have probably
41.
been about 30, 35, or 36 at that time.
I love that plaid coat. Did you keep any of those plaid jackets?
Oh, I might have. I don't know. I don't pay any attention to that. I might have had one or two of them that I kept.
It's a fashion statement, though, Coach.
I've never really considered myself as dealing with fashion.
When was the last time you were with that 76 team?
Well, I don't think that it's been, I talk to those guys from time to time. I just tried to call a couple the other day, and I really enjoy hearing them call me to see how things are going, because I think you've seen enough of things in sports that are special, and this was something very, very special. And the key to it was that the year before, we had not gone undefeated. I'd kind of screwed things up. Scott May had broken his wrist, and I had to move things around a little bit, and we ended up losing a game. And part of it was because I split Buckner and Wilkerson up. They were the best pair of guards that ever played the game in college. And I've always said if I had one thing to do over again, I wouldn't have split that up. But anyhow, we came to the next year then, and I told those kids our practice started on a Saturday, as it always did, and I told those kids the day before practice started that there was only one thing that would be the thing that they could always be proud of, and that was to go undefeated for the entire season. Not win the Big Ten or not win the national championship or anything, but to go completely undefeated for the season. I told them that the day before practice started. It was a Friday afternoon. We met in the locker room. And I said, this is a goal that you people should get to, because there may be nobody that ever does it, and that you are capable of doing it. And they wound up doing it. It's pretty good.
Well, UCLA did it a couple of times, but Michigan was a big rival back then in 1976.
UCLA went about recruiting a lot different than we did.
How so?
Well, you can find that out yourself.
I'd rather that you told me there, Coach.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that, to the best of my knowledge, nobody has done it since those kids did it.
Who was the big rival back then?
whoever we were playing on that given day was the big rival.
But Michigan had a really good team back then, I remember.
Well, I'm sure they did, but that year I think we had to beat them twice.
Well, you played the perfect half, I think, the second time you played them, didn't you? Didn't you score like 57, 58 points in the second half, something like that?
I'm not sure I could remember that if we played it yesterday. I do know. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you miss practice more than you do the games.
Well, I just really like the game, and that's why on that Friday afternoon, after the year before that, I forgot what our total record was. It was like 29-1 or 30-1 or something like that when we got beat when May got hurt. But what I did the day before practice started, it was on a Friday, and I went through the season and told them that the one thing that they were capable of doing was not winning, as I said, not winning the Big Ten or anything else, but going through the entire season undefeated. And these kids, you figure that's 2 years, and their record was something like 62-1 for those 2 years.
He's Bob Knight. The documentary is Perfect in 76. It airs tonight on Showtime at 9 Eastern. Any surprises in this documentary?
I haven't seen it. I don't know. I just coach.
But they sat down and talked to you?
Well, yeah, I told them what I thought, told them how we went about what I told them that day before the first practice. And I think they really, I think it was an interesting thing for those kids. I mean, I think when they were told by their coach that this was a possibility, and then I went back to the year before where May's injury had really hurt us, and I took the response for splitting up Buckner and Wilkerson, and so we ended up getting beat. But then when they went the second time, we didn't have any injuries, and everybody was playing where they should play. And I think there were times during the year when we had close games. I've never really looked at that. That'd be interesting. But when it was all said and done, and then I didn't pay much attention to it. I told them they had a great year. They did what I told them they were capable of doing. And that really pleased me that I was right about what I said. And then, I never really, until kind of recently, when it just hadn't happened again. So when kids have been able to do something, give their full attention to it and make it something they wanted to do, and it's lasted as long as it has, that's a heck of a thing for these kids to think about.
What was plan B if you didn't become a coach?
That's interesting because I went into coaching. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. It may have been I'd have enjoyed being a secret agent. I'd have enjoyed working for the government in a capacity where somehow maybe I could have contributed something worthwhile to the USA.
A military career or a secret agent? So work for the CIA?
Kind of a clandestine.
Ooh.
Kind of a clandestine career.
Are you too old to do that now?
Well, if somebody would come by and offer me a chance, I think I'd probably take a look at it.
Why do we want you to go back to Assembly Hall so bad? I know that might not be on your wish list or front burner here, but why do we, the fans, want closure with this, Coach?
Well, I think that I've always really enjoyed the fans, and I always will. on my dying day, I will think about how great the fans at Indiana were. And as far as the hierarchy at Indiana University at that time, I have absolutely no respect whatsoever for those people. And with that in mind, I have no interest in ever going back to that university.
Most of those people aren't all those people out of there, though, Coach?
I hope they're all dead.
Well, I know some of them are, but I don't know.
I hope the rest of them go.
Yeah, I'd like to still see you on that court with that 76 team or Isaiah's team. I don't know. Maybe we want closure. Maybe you don't need the closure. I don't know. But, I still hope for it one day.
Well, hope rides eternal.
You staying out of trouble? You doing anything? You hunting, fishing, doing anything?
Yeah, when I get a chance, one of the things is that you and I have talked years and years ago. I always enjoyed fishing. It was, the great thing about fishing is that it's a sport, and it requires a lot of intricate things. But the things that are required, you don't have to out-rebound somebody. You don't have to run the floor. But there are a lot. That's why fishing is so good. Anybody that will concentrate can really do it. And so I've always been a great believer in I think how neat fishing is, and you catch a fish and put it back in, kind of pat it on the nose, and stick it back in the water. It's kind of an interesting thing. I've always enjoyed it.
Better fisherman or better coach?
Well, I'll tell you what, caught a lot of fish in my time.
You won 899 games, too.
Well, and I was just about to say we caught a lot of fish, but there are also a lot of games in there we caught, too.
Well, you're still catching fish, though, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it. And in fact, the best person with a fly rod I know is my wife. She has been very good. She was a very good athlete. We were a good match when it came to that. She picked up fishing really well and was very good at it. So, to have something to do with your wife that you both like was a real good shot in the arm for us. So we've always enjoyed that.
Well, we look forward to the documentary tonight, Coach, and always great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it has always been my pleasure to talk with you, because I've always felt that you were not just fair about what you did when interviewing or talking, but I always thought that beyond a lot of your contemporaries, you were actually kind of smart.
Did we get that on tape, what Coach just said about me, Paulie? We got that on tape?
It's on tape.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, Coach, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it, too. You've been a good friend and a guy that I have a lot of respect for.
And I probably couldn't have played for you, though, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I got to look at you. I'm good to myself. Good thing that guy can talk well, because I don't think he could have played.
I couldn't play defense, Coach, so I couldn't have played for you.
Well, that maybe would have been an old timers league before we're gone.
Thank you, Coach, and we appreciate the time as always.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you, because I've always enjoyed a good relationship with you.
Thank you, Coach. The documentary is tonight at 9 Eastern on Showtime. It's the Perfect in 76 documentary with Coach Knight. Bob Knight, courtesy of Continental Tire, the Coach's Corner, the exclusive tire of the Dan Patrick Show. No matter where you drive or what you drive, Continental designs tires for what you do. For more info, visit ContinentalTire.com. Continental Tire, for what you do.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.